All right, Blake, it's time for some hot seat discussion. Now, there's one man in college basketball who has a hot seat that is scalding hot. I mean, if you were to touch it, you're going to get third-degree burns. And that is a man that resides in Bloomington, Indiana, by the name of Mike Woodson. This season has not gone according to plan so far for the Hoosiers. They had a pretty decent NIL budget, got some good players in the portal. We've mentioned before Umar Ballo really hasn't panned out so far. There's been some extracurriculars with him that we won't get all the way into that because this video is more so strictly talking about Mike Woodson. But in these last four games, Blake, they just lost on Sunday to Maryland off a Rodney Rice game winner. They lost by 9 to Northwestern. They barely escaped Ohio State. And then they got blitzed by Indiana. In the games before that, they lost to Iowa and then picked up a win against USC and Penn State. But overall, I mean, the split between Indiana and Mike Woodson kind of seems inevitable at this point. Mike Woodson seems checked out of his own job. I mean, there was a video making waves on Twitter of him walking off the court, not even shaking hands with Maryland's head coach after the game on Sunday. Luke Good literally had to push him towards the handshake line to get him to do that. Just not good looks overall with Mike Woodson and Indiana basketball as a whole. So, what has gone wrong here for Mr. Woodson so far this season, and is it just a matter of if, not when, he ultimately gets kicked out of the door?
Uh, well, to start off, it's a matter of when for him now getting fired. This guy has done a pitiful job so far at IU, and this season has been a dumpster fire from the start of the season till now. I mean, you got a team like Louisville who has improved, one of the most improved teams in the country, and then you go to the other extreme, IU, one of the most consistently bad teams all season. I mean, to start off the year, they played some pretty bad teams. SIUE, Eastern Illinois, South Carolina, UNC Greensboro. They played UNC Greensboro close. Then they go to the Atlantis. They get blitzed by Louisville before like they became really good. Then they get blitzed by a Gonzaga team. Then they somehow beat Providence pretty handily. And then you go to team or games like Nebraska midseason. They get blitzed by them. They play Chattanooga close, who is not very good. Uh, you play, let's see who else close. Winthrop. You play Iowa close as well. Then you get blitzed by Illinois. And then you got the two most recent losses, Maryland and Northwestern. He just flat out sucks. Awful roster construction, and then you put together that with just bad X's and O's, and you get Mike Woodson and the IU program. This has been one of the worst. Actually, I'll say it, one of the worst jobs I've seen by a D1 coach, a high major D1 coach, in quite some time. This is a historic program, and they've just been in the shits like since like early Tom Crean era. I mean, even he wasn't that great of a coach, but I mean, they were still in a better uh, point of like space at that time. And then now they're with Mike Woodson just consistently bad, and they're sitting at right now. So I mean, it's just unbelievable to see a program like this be let down. And then I mean, he's just not getting good minutes out of his players too, and it's all his fault. Trey Galloway as one of your key players. I'm sorry, that's not going to cut it at all. Anthony Leal, another guy. When you try to get like Indiana kids that are good instead of actually fitting in guy like people that play together well, like mesh, play style wise that match your scheme. When you're getting guys just because of being highly touted in the portal, like Miles Rice, Umar Ballo, Luke Good. I mean, Miles Rice is a solid player. Umar's had a decent year, but I mean, it's not really been as good as his recent years. You're just getting guys that literally don't mesh together well, don't fit your scheme, and you're just going out there crossing your arms, watching them go to hell mid game and lose on a buzzer beater. That was the worst, probably one of the worst coaching jobs I've seen in a while. And I really do think they need a coaching change like ASAP.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to do a little guess the line here. So I obviously mentioned they have a high NIL budget. What do you think? I have an estimate in front of me right now of what their payroll was by Jeff Goodman. Just take a guess. What do you think Indiana's transfer portal payroll was in the offseason?
Was it over like 2 million?
It was, yes, it was definitely over 2 million.
5 million?
Bingo. 5 million
Really?
plus. Yep, 5 million plus NIL payroll for Mike Woodson.
Good
And this
work,
is
Mike Woodson. This is why you
and
got fired in the NBA. This is why you're doing a shit show job right now. This is why IU fans are cheering or chanting at Assembly Hall right now, saying "Fire Woodson." Like you did it
yep.
to yourself, man.
And they're sitting at 5-5 in Big Ten play right now, and there's no signs of it getting better because they play three ranked squads in their next four games, and the one unranked team at the moment is a Michigan team that's had some highs this year and has been very quality in moments. They got to go to Purdue on Friday. They got to go to Wisconsin the following Tuesday. Then they host Michigan, and then they have to go to East Lansing and play Michigan State, who Michigan State, man, they look like one of the best teams in the country right now. We'll talk about them in a different video later on. And they got to play Purdue again as well, and they're also going to have to travel to Eugene to play Oregon. There's just no signs of this getting any better. I mean, I really don't know what the formula is for a possible revival here if you're Mike Woodson. I mean, do you have any indication of what could get this turned around, or is it just as simple as time to move on to the next guy next season and just count this one as a wash?
It's time to look towards next season. They have like literally no shot. I feel like at making a tourney right now. They don't have many statement wins this year, if any. Actually, let me go through their schedule real quick and see if literally
Not a whole lot.
their best win is probably Rutgers or USC or Penn State.
Yep.
Or actually Ohio State is probably their best one. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, a team that's really been up and down, sitting at I don't know what it is off the top of my head, and like
They're
probably
fighting for their
12 and
tournament
8 or
lives.
something.
We'll say that.
Yeah, they're on the bubble. And I mean, it just goes to show how badly constructed this team was. And their lack of coaching there at the end against Maryland lost them the game. Rodney Rice should have never gotten that three off. I don't know why you go under that screen there. And then you don't call a timeout on the way back, and the game ends because Miles Rice has like no time to get a play or a real shot opportunity set up. So just bad coaching overall. And yeah, I think Hoosier fans are more than excited to get rid of him. And it's got to be time to start looking in the coaching portal, as I say, to get some new coach because Woodson right now, it's a failure.
That leads perfectly into what I was just about to ask you, Blake. So we've talked about it before when it comes to Indiana. It feels like it's a matter of when he goes, not if. So if you're Indiana, who's the first call you make in the coaching carousel once we get to the off season?
I think it's got to be Bruce Pearl. Obviously, I
Mhm.
there's no way he leaves there, but I mean, he's a guy who's a high energy guy. He's obviously shown he's able to do a ton of great things with the program where, like, they weren't really on the national spotlight, like when he got there. I feel like, and so what he's done, especially this year, what he's done is unbelievable. A team's insanely good on the defensive end. They're insanely good on the offensive end, and I mean, you add in good X's and O's, good recruiting, and just an overall high energy, really great guy. You put those three together, you get Bruce Pearl, and I feel like that would fit the IU culture and just program in general as like the guy that needs to take that program from basically the depths of hell right now to like near the top of the Big Ten. But obviously, there's absolutely no way I feel like Bruce Pearl would leave, not with what he's built there, not with the coaching staff he's assembled, and they're doing a great job over there. I don't
You
know
know who
who.
I'm calling. You know
Chris
who I'm
Beard,
calling.
maybe.
That's a good call. I think that one of your realistic options, I think it may be too late because last year would have been the window, and I've mentioned this before, Dusty May. He has the
Yeah.
ties there. I think that could be a possible one, but if you really want to make a home run and you want to get a guy that might be attainable, because really when it comes to the Indiana program right now, there's not a lot of guys that are attainable because nobody's going to leave a good job to go to Indiana right now. Like I get
Mm-mm.
Indiana has the tradition, but it's been a long time since that tradition was prominent in college basketball. But me personally, if I'm them, I've said it before. Why not give Todd Golden a call at Florida? He's young, he's innovative, he's brought Florida back from pretty down years in recent memory. Now, I don't think necessarily that it would be an easy task to pull him away from Florida because I think that he's starting to establish himself there. They're a top five squad this year. I could easily see them being in the Final Four mix, maybe winning the national title. But if you really wanted to be ambitious and go out there and get somebody, I mean, that seems like a perfect place to start. You give him a call, and then you work your way down the more realistic options. You know, the Dusty Mays. You mentioned Chris Beard. Maybe would it be a stretch for him to give Mark Byington at Vandy a call and see if he can pull him away after 1 year at Vandy?
Uh, I don't know, honestly. I mean,
That may not work
he's
out contractually, but
yeah. I mean, he's taken that program Vandy from freaking Jerry Stackhouse levels of bad to dang near in the middle of the pack in the SEC and an historical season. So I mean, I would definitely give him a call. I'm not sure how that would work out with the contract and probably a buyout, all that unnecessary stuff on the side, but I would definitely hit him up with the call. And then you got also another guy, maybe Shaka Smart.
that's a good call. I was thinking about that earlier. But maybe do they take maybe a chance and go for a kind of a riskier hire, a guy that's had some level of success but not like major yet, and go for like Tommy Lloyd at Arizona, maybe?
I'm sure they would,
That
honestly, just
that
because of
could
how
be.
bad the coaching like carousel, job hiring has been by the IU program in recent history.
And I know that Jeff Goodman, he mentioned something about Scott Drew being the first call you make, but let's be real here. If he didn't leave for the Kentucky job, he's not leaving for the Indiana job. That's a guy that just wants to be a Baylor lifer at this point. But
Yeah,
I really do think, there's going to be limitations when it comes to this coaching search just because of how poor the program has been overall. But yeah, I mean, it's not looking like it's getting any better anytime soon with Woodson. The end seems to be near. Blake, any final thoughts on Mr. Woodson as we look like we're heading down the final games of his tenure at the Hoosier land?
I mean, all I gotta say is I hope you enjoyed your nice little stay at Bloomington. Looks like it's coming to an end for you. Maybe it's time for you to get on LinkedIn or Indeed and find a new job in the coaching realm. But uh, I mean, you did a heck of a job, man. You took that program from being average to even worse. So, I mean, good job.
I don't have an adult beverage of choice, but I'm going to pour out some water for Mike Woodson's coaching career. It was a good run, buddy. Cheers to you. Indiana fans, you all deserve much better, and I think that brighter days are on the horizon.